Hello everyone, welcome to Slipjoint Sawyer. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a restoration on this Victorinox Swiss Army knife. Now this is an economy camper. Model number for that is 3.3611 and it is one with the economy tang stamp, so that dates it between 1977 and 1980. They only added these tang stamps for 3 years, so it's a pretty good guess. I mean, it's either one of those 3 years, which would be pretty cool. And I'm actually going to be doing a giveaway on this knife at the end of the video. I'm going to do the restoration, fix all the bits that's wrong with it, and we will give it away. But for the rules of that, I'll read them out at the end of the video so you can answer the question. And then the drawing for this will be in next week's Slippy and Thrifty show. That's on the 1st of September. Now the knife in itself is actually in pretty good condition. It has been used. There's a little bit of wear on the saw, but nothing major at all. The only major thing wrong with it is we have a snapped tip on this blade, but I will be addressing that. We're just sort of going to sort of meet in the middle, I think. It might just come up. I don't want to go right to the very point here because I don't want the blade to be showing. Oh, we might be good. That bit is actually hidden, so we might just... I think the best sort of course of action for it is just to bring the curve around to the edge and sort of take this portion off here. But we'll address that when we get to it. It just needs a bit of a clean, really, nothing too major. But this is one of the knives I picked up in a huge batch off Dan from Bladebridge Customs. Not only does he do really nice custom work, he sells batches of Swiss Army knives that need fixing up. Some that he's restored himself. He's got different bits and pieces coming. I know he's got a batch of USA-made knives coming soon. But there is all his contact information. You can scan this and I'll take it to his website. Got his WhatsApp number, Daniel Bridge, his website, and he's also got a superb presence on Instagram, which is under Bladebridge Customs. So make sure you're checking him out. He's a wonderful guy to deal with as well, just a super friendly guy. But we'll leave that up there out of the way for the time being. Now, the economy camper, it came with the economy scale, so you would have the hot pressed shield, whereas you can see this one here, which I'm going to clean up and slightly personalize, I guess I would say with. But the economy scales didn't have any tool slots, but this one we're going to sort of mod it up a little bit. I am going to give it a plus scale for the back, and I have all the bits and pieces in here to make it really special. So we have the pin, we have the pen, tweezers, the tinder, or the Helix tinder, which is one of these, the Firefly version. And we also have the Firefly steel in there, which we're going to put instead of the toothpick. And of course we've got the key ring, and we have the corkscrew little flathead screwdriver. So we probably will have to cut this one down a little bit. But I will include a couple of those extra tinders, whoever wins this prize. But it will be UK worldwide eligible, so anyone in the world can enter, but I'll leave the rules for the end of the video. So let's jump straight into it. The camper is a 91mm design, which is 1, 2, 3, just over 3.5, 3.6 inches closed. Now the main blade is usually 2.8 inches in full length, but you can see with this tip that's broken, it's just over 2.5, and I think by the time it's done, it's probably going to be about 2.5 inches, but that's still going to have absolutely loads of life left in it. As I was mentioning, the economy tang stamp, so you get the 4-line Victorinox stainless rust fry, and then you get that really cool economy stamp on the back there as well. But as I was saying, the whole knife is actually in pretty good working order. There's nothing that's sort of seized. It just needs a bit of a good clean up. We're going to polish it up at the end, get it nice and shiny. Everything is absolutely flawless on it. There's nothing bent at all. So I just thought that would be a really cool thing to give away. It's not something you find every day. Of course, being an older one as well, you get the cap lifter without a half stop. But let's jump right into it. We will go with the cleaning up process first. Let me move these things out of the screen, just so we don't have any sort of blurring issues. Put that up there. Okay, so it's not too bad, really. So I'm just going to go with some of this. This is just multi-purpose cleaner and degreaser. I'm not really sure what it's actually for, but we'll just go ahead and use it. I'm just going to get a cloth and we will just sort of wipe it down, give it a bit of a spray, and just sort of get as much of that old oil off there as possible. Now, I have used this before on other knives that I've cleaned up, and it's worked fantastic for that. And that's all I really wanted to do, is just remove some of the grease, because this knife isn't dirty. It has been in the ultrasonic cleaner already. I've given it maybe 2 or 3 goes in there the other day, and it pulled out all the sort of grot that was inside the knife, and it actually did a fantastic job for that. Just wipe that off there. Apologies. But you will just go ahead and clean up these tools as well. As you can see, where obviously the ultrasonic cleaner has taken out the oils, it's obviously left residue on some of the tools, but we will go ahead and clean those up. Probably isn't going to be the most talkative video. It's going to be more of a sort of a listen to the restoration process and just enjoy as we sort of clean this knife up. But I'm amazed for the age of this, how well it sort of stood up. I know these Swiss Army knives by Victorinox, they really do stand the test of time. So you've obviously got the stainless steel, the aluminium liners, everything like that stands up against rust. But even the action, there's nothing gritty about it at all. Even before I put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, it didn't have gritty action or anything. Even the saw looks really nice. Just thought this would be a fantastic little user knife for someone that likes the outdoors. You can see in there's nothing really major, just a couple of bubbles really from the cleaning solution. So there's not really much I've got to do with this in terms of cleaning up. Just more in terms of fixing that main blade. You get the corkscrew on the back, of course. And you get the punch on there too, and you can see it's an older one, so there is no sewing eye on there, but you can see any sort of dirt that's on there from that ultrasonic cleaner, it's just white. It's not even like a rough cloth, it's just like an old handkerchief. But honestly I'm happy with the progress this is coming on, just with the cloth and some of that spray. Nothing too major really to come off. Action is pretty good on all these tools. Going well. And then just wipe off some of that on there. But yeah, let's get just trying to work out how much I want to take off. I think I'm definitely going to go for that sort of approach. Now, I did pick up a Dremel, which I'm going to use for this, so I will pause while I go away and cut off that bit at the end of the blade, because no one wants to hear a Dremel noise going yee for ages on a video. But for that, I'm just going to sort of clamp it in the vise very lightly. I'm probably going to do it probably going to clamp it in, this way very lightly with some cloth either side so it's not pressing too hard. And I'm just going to very carefully sort of grind that edge off. I'm going to do it bit by bit, and then we'll come back in stages just so you can see what I've done, and just so I don't take too much off. But I will pause it there and be back in a moment. Okay, so we're back, and I'm actually pretty surprised with the job I managed to do on this. I know it's not perfect, but once it's sharpened up, it should look pretty good. You can see I've just ground that bit off there. You can see where obviously the edge is gone and it's just complete flat metal there now, so I will need to put a new edge on this. But if we close that up, see the tip isn't exposed at all. You can't feel that. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. Just want to check the pen blade just to make sure there's no damage on that as well. Well, you can see that just needs a new edge. That looks like it's barely ever been used, or whoever has used it has sort of put a little blunt spot in it just here. But yeah, really happy with that. Now the way I'm going to go about this, I am going to use my whetstone to sort of fix this tip, because I don't think the Wort Shark's going to be too grand in doing a job with that. But I will start off quite rough. Obviously I want to get that flat portion out. I may even, I don't want to use the Dremel to do that, because knowing my luck, I'll jump and ruin the blade. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and use the whetstone. So I'll get that set up, and then we will come back and we will just watch the sort of the sharpening process. I'll be back with you in a second. Okay, so we're back, and I know my previous restoration I had an issue with doing it on the mat because the mat's too slippery, so we just gone to the solid bench for this. So it's been soaking for about 10 to 15 minutes in water, and I do have a little pot of additional water here just in case this goes a little dry. This is definitely the best way I've found to do it. Some people pull towards you. I found the best result is pushing away. For me, it just works. But you know, if you like pulling towards you and it works for you, don't let anyone tell you you're wrong. Just do with whatever you like. But we're going to go ahead and start off at a rough sort of 20-degree angle. And I like to either use my fingers like this or my thumb just to keep that pressure on the whole length of the blade. So I would just sort of go up like this, just a couple of times, and I always keep a little cloth off to the side. Just got an old rag down here that I'll use to wipe off the blade just to check the progress. And what I'm going to do is then work on that tip, so you can see the edge. That took a couple of strokes and you can already see the edge on there compared to this side. And I'm going to work on that sort of curved edge there. I'm doing my best to keep that sort of angle the same. So I'm just going to sort of work it like this. And then I will wipe the blade off and see how we're looking. And you can see that edge starting to come there. You can see a little bit, but there's obviously a long way to go. So we'll just put a bit more water on the stone. Just keep going at it. Wipe it off, and then we'll take another look, see how we're getting on. You can see that edge coming along nicely. You can still see the flat all down there. I'm just going to have a look off the camera just so I can get a bit of better look. Yeah, it's coming, but there's still quite a lot of blade to take off there. So I'm just going to pause it here and I will do that work off the camera, and then we will come back when I'm a bit closer to being done. Okay, so we're back, and it probably took me between 5 and 10 minutes to put a bit of an edge on this. You can see we do have an edge all the way round now. Pretty decent job, if I do say so myself. I think I've done but it is razor sharp now, and that's only on the sort of a 600 stone. So I am going to sort of take that up now to 1000, and then we will strop it. And I don't generally like to go any more than that, because you just want a nice working edge. You don't want anything. You don't want any of this sort of mirror polished edge, because once you use it once, it just sort of goes. But you can see that even though I've sharpened it, it is sticking up a tad, so I think I will take off a little bit of that kick down the bottom just so it lowers itself down a bit, just so it's not exposed and you're not going to sort of cut yourself on it. But it's going to be very, very minimal amount I take off. But let's get this blade finished. So for that, we're going to turn the stone over and go on to the 1000. And you just want to wet it. It has been soaking, of course, but it's just a double-sided stone, but you just want to get a nice sort of clean layer of water on there as well. Now, I'm not a professional at sharpening. I've said it many times before. If you know what you're doing better than me, tell me I'm wrong, give me some advice, whatever it may be. But the way I'm sort of doing it, it does sort of work for me, and I do get some really sharp results, so I must be doing something right. But I've completely done away with the work sharp system now. It's fully packed away in its box, and I'm probably just going to keep that for the worst of knives, when they're sort of too far gone. Do a bit of freehand just so I can bring a little bit of an edge back on it. I may even leave it set up in the workshop for my father if he wants to use it. But let's have a look, see how we're getting on with that. Oh yeah, that's sharp. That's going to give someone a nice work tool there. That edge on that side as well. So what we're going to do now is pack away with the stone. We're going to come back with the mat, and I'm going to take a little bit of that kick off just so we can have that tip not exposed. Then we're then going to give it a bit of a polish and clean up. We're going to oil it and then get all the accessories on, and then we will take a look at the finished product. So I'll be back with you very shortly. Okay, welcome back. So while I was off getting things sorted, I just rectified that issue of the blade poking up a little bit. You can see I've just filed the tiniest little bit off the kick there, enough so that there's no blade wrap, but a perfect amount so the tip is no longer showing and you can't catch your finger on it. Now we're just going to give it a bit of a strop, and then we will get the blade sort of polished up, and I'm probably going to polish quite a few of the tools as well. I want to try and make this one a little bit special, as this is going to be a giveaway. So we'll put that little diamond file away. And honestly, I've just been using the little workshop strop just in my hand like this. I do have a bigger one, but it's inside and it's raining and I'm not going in to get it. So we'll just give this a nice little bit of a strop. Nothing too major. I'm doing this through the camera, so I'd obviously be doing it a bit quicker if I wasn't watching the camera, but I'm always concerned that I'm going to cut myself, especially with a knife I've just sharpened. But we will take a look at that, see how that's doing. Nice edge on both sides. Yeah, that thing is, honestly, I don't want to blow my own horn too much, but that thing's scary sharp. So we'll put that one away, and then we will have a little look at this pen blade. Honestly, that doesn't really need a lot of work. I can probably sort of get that tuned up just with the strop. There's not really any need to sort of resharpen. Nearly had my finger off. No sort of need to resharpen or restrop that blade. Just gonna work back and forth a few times. That's literally all it needed. Nice and sharp. Put that away. So now we're going to go ahead, and while the scales are off, because Cellidor scales are great, they're easy to clean up, but if you buff them with a Dremel, as I learned firsthand, they not melt, but seem to like tarnish dark really quickly. So we will hand sort of buff these to a sort of unique finish, let's say, but I'm going to go ahead and Dremel this now, and I'll show you the sort of the process I do for that. So we'll have the blade open. I will go ahead, get the Dremel. Let's plug this thing in. Just make sure it's not on. I'm going to turn it on in my hand. It's not. Good. So you can see I've got the little grinding disc which I use to cut the tip of the blade off, so we'll take that out. And I have this little tiny sort of fiber wheel that I've been using to buff, and it's not super effective, but for what the job I'm doing with this, I think it's absolutely perfect for. So I guess get that tightened up in there. Good stuff. And now I've been using the Auto Sol pretty much religiously on all my sort of cleanups, because I think it is superb for what I need it for. So I'm just going to go ahead and sort of work that onto the outside of the pad. Now I'm rubbing it in quite vigorously, because obviously when this thing starts spinning, that I don't want that sort of compound to sort of just fly off. So you don't need very much of it. As you can see, there's a little tiny bit on there. But let me put my sort of specs on just so I don't get any of my eyes. And I'll do a little bit on camera on the slowest setting just so you guys can see. I may end up sort of muting this part of the video or putting some sort of overlay on it over it if it sounds horrendous, because nobody likes the sound of that. We'll just go ahead and do some work on the back of the blade. That's worked quite well. Give it a bit of a buff. Just going to wipe off the blade, watching not to cut myself, seeing as I normally sharpen right at the very end to avoid that sort of issue. Let's have a little look how we're going. So buffing this way is never going to get every little scratch out, but it does give you a very nice shine on the blade. You can see that I've got a very nice sort of, nothing too crazy, just a nice sort of clean blade there. And I think just as sort of uniformity, I think I will go over the externals of the knife, like on the tangs of everything. And I will also do some of the tools that look like they need it. So we'll start off with the pen blade as well. So I'm just going to take a touch more of this. And you know what, I'm just going to rub it on the blade. Just like that. And then back to Dremel. So it really doesn't take a lot of work at all if you're using a Dremel. I've just got to the point I love doing it all by hand, but my actual hands have taken such a battering from doing all the hand polishing on those recent restorations I've done. Like the ends of my thumbs have gone sore, and I just felt that, you know, I'm enjoying it to the point where I can justify sort of buying a Dremel on a few sort of different pieces. But yeah, look at the nice little shine on that as well. Now, do these tools require any sort of polishing? I don't think so. I think they're all pretty good. Just give them a bit of a hand wipe off. Oh, that one's really shiny, not going to bother with that one. What's this one like? That one's pretty good too. Tangs of those are all really good. How's the saw looking? Now this is one of the ones that would be quite difficult to buff, and it is actually really shiny to begin with, so I'm probably not going to bother. So you think about it, with that wheel spinning and it grabs those teeth, it's just going to absolutely destroy the buffing wheel. But you can see there's still a really nice shine on there. So I'm just going to sort of work the back now, and then we'll sort of leave it there for the polishing, and then we'll come back and start getting the scales done and adding the sort of additional little bits. So I will go ahead and do that off the camera, and I'll be back with you in a moment. Okay, welcome back. So I've polished up all the back, given it a bit of a rinse out just to get all the junk out of the pivots. You can see I've polished all the way around. I've done the liners on just on the very sides, just to give it that little bit of extra touch, just a nice little bit of shine. But we're going to go ahead now and put the scales on. So we have the front scale here. Let's get that lined up, get that on. That pressed on. And then we have the nice little plus scale liner going on. Try and do it on the camera, not like a jackass, so you can't see. It's snapped on there. Awesome stuff. So that's all on. Now we're going to give it a bit of a different sort of shine. So you can see there, this one's a little bit more worn than the other one. But I'm going to go with sort of like, not like a grain effect, but I'm going to go and try and have just like nice horizontal matte lines down that. And I have tried it previously, and I used this sort of emery cloth, worked very well for it. So I'm just going to put a bit flat on the desk like that. And I found the best way for it is to actually have the scales on. You haven't got to try and hold them and have any sort of issues with that. So we're just going to put that on, place it flat down, and just work it back and forth like this. Now you don't want to go too fast, or you'll introduce too much heat to it. So you don't want to be going for too long either. So I'm just going to go back and forth like this, and then we'll check it after a little bit. And you can see there's nice sort of matte grind lines on there almost. We'll just keep going. And I'm just going to keep going until, you know, I kind of like the design or the aesthetic of it. I just thought it might be something a bit different, something a bit unique, someone to have in their collection or someone to have as a user. But while we're sort of going through this, we will go through the sort of the giveaway rules. So it's going to be a worldwide giveaway. So I'm happy to post this anywhere in the world. There's going to be, you must subscribe to my channel and like this video. And there's going to be one question, and your answer will be used as a sort of a search point in this video. So if you comment, I would like to know what my most viewed USA made knife review is. And it would need to be the make, so the brand, and the model number of the knife as well. So it's a nice, easy question. You probably go away and find it and come back. But I want to get as many sort of entries into this as possible, give as many people much of a chance to win a really cool, nice knife. The winner will be drawn on next week's Slippy and Thrifty show. So that would be on Sunday the 1st at 6 PM UK time. And that is 10 AM Central or Texas time, whichever you wish to call it. We'll do a live draw in there. So we'll put all the sort of comments into a comment picker. And then it will just pick out one random one. And someone will get a chance to win a really nice customized, I don't want to say custom because it's a standard pattern, but a really nice customized economy camper. And you can see how those nice matte lines are coming out on there as well. Want to get it as matching as close as possible to the front as I can. So we're just going to keep going a little bit longer. Seems a bit more rough this side, so we'll go with that side. But yeah, make sure you're getting involved in this, guys. I really want to try and give back as much as I can to the community. You've all helped me get my channel to where it is now, and I'm getting very close to 6,000 subscribers. And I never thought that, well, how long have I been going? Like a year and a half, that I would have this many subscribers. And it's just been a hell of a journey. I've met some fantastic people. Starred on RJ's lives for a while with Thrifty Kniffy, Tom from Knife Delights, RJ himself, Paddy. Paddy, Judd, met them at Sharp Show last year, two of my favourite humans. They're absolutely wonderful people. John over at Thrifty Kniffy has obviously been my sort of YouTube partner since pretty much the very beginning, and I owe a lot of my success to him. He helped me sort of organise my channel and get a lot of things set up in the background, and he's just an absolutely wonderful human. So if you're not subscribed to Thrifty Kniffy, make sure you do. And as well as that, Mikey over at Baldy's Blades, relatively new channel, definitely not new to the knife community. He's an absolutely superb human, and he's actually standing in for myself this week as I'm working tomorrow. So it's actually going to get the Baldy and Thrifty show tomorrow, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. Go and check out the thumbnail. He's got his own little tiny AI generated person like me and John have, but I think it's going to be great. I will be watching. I don't know if I'll be too busy to comment or take part in the chat, but I will do as much as I can to be involved. But yeah, you can see now I've done it. There we go. Nice sort of that sort of matte finish there, and on the back. I'm pretty happy with how that's come across. And we will just sort of start rebuilding this knife and adding the cool little bits and pieces. So let me get the little baggie with all the tools on it. Let's put that pin in so I don't stab myself with it. So pin in the pin slot. Get that in there. And let's get all these out of here. So we have the, excuse me, we have the tweezers for the front, and these are all sort of brand new tools. I will show you the Fire Striker net last because that's really cool. Brand new pen in the pen slot. Now, of course, this is going to be too long for that. So the way we do this is we actually have to cut a little bit off of that, and I believe it's about half away. So if we do take about half off, there we go, put that to one side and put that blade away so I don't cut myself with it. And then we will sort of wind this on. There we go. And then we'll get that corkscrew screwdriver on there as well. Get that sort of all wound on. Give that a little bit of a press just so it really fits in there snugly. There we go. Nice little corkscrew screwdriver. You get some tinder on there as well. Tweezers. Of course, you get the pen. And I wanted to show you a quick demonstration of this via Helix steel, because it's really good. But obviously it's quite thin. When you're using it, you don't want to hold it up here and push down because it may snap. The way it's advertised is you do it like this, and then it creates a hell of a spark. So yeah, you're getting a really cool piece of kit with that, and then that will fit very nicely in the back up there like that, and you just sort of pull it out the same way you would with any sort of tweezers. Now this bit is glow in the dark, so once it's been, you can kind of see it glowing just there. Once it's been in the light for a little while, it will glow. And all that's left really to do is put the keyring on. Now this is easier said than done while on the video, because it makes you look like an absolute buffoon. There we go. And that's it. One sort of customized, not custom, Victorinox camper. A nice sort of 77 to 80 model. We fixed that blade, giving it a really nice sharp edge. Got a nice sharp pen blade on there too. You get the can opener and the cap lifter. All the tools in there, fantastic working order. All that's left for me to do is oil it, which I will do off the video because my oil is in the house. But yeah, if you want to enter this giveaway, feel free. It's worldwide. Instructions I've said already, but I will say them again if anyone missed them. So you must like and subscribe to my channel. You must tell me in a comment what is my most viewed USA made knife review. I would need the brand and the model number. The winner will be announced live on the Slippy and Thrifty show on the 1st of September. So that's a week from tomorrow. That's 6 PM UK and 10 AM Central Time. I will use a comment picker while we're live, so it'll scroll through all the comments that have the correct sort of name of the knife and the model number of the knife, and it will pick a random comment based on that. So the best way to do it would put, for example, we're going to use Victorinox because it's not USA made, so you would put Victorinox and camper. You haven't got to comment anything else if you don't want to, but those are I'm going to use the brand and the name to sort of pick the comment. But I really hope you enjoyed this sort of restoration and giveaway video. Please make sure you're checking out Dan at Blade Bridge Customs. Fantastic guy, wonderful sort of presence, and a huge asset to the knife community. But please be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.